Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have a quick Christmas ornament to share with you today. So I'm going to be using Jaded Blossom's Be Merry stamp set. That's from the last release. The winter dies, the stitch circles and the scallop circle dies. There we go. Oops, showing you. And the large snowflake die. And I'll be making a quick Christmas ornament for you today. So I'm using the stitch circle die that is in the size 3 inches, and the scallop circle die is 3 5/8 inches. And I'm using the ornaments. These are ornaments from Michaels. They're Art Mind DIY plastic ornaments, and they look to be about 3 1/4 inches, and we're only using half. I said 3 1/8 there. I guess it depends how you're measuring. So now I'm also using Moxie's Winter Wishes paper line. This is an old paper line, but I kind of do the same thing always. So I cut out my scalloped circle out of White Recollections cardstock first. Then I cut it out of my pattern paper, and I wanted to use stripes because I really like to use stripes on this outside scallop. I don't know, I just really like it. So I'm using my Nuvo glue. And I'm just going to be lining up those 2 scallop circles. And like super easy peasy. And I kind of like this color combo. It's kind of nice for Christmas. It's more like winter themed, which is nice. So there we go. So now I've got my pattern paper that's cut out with the 3-inch stitch circle die. So now I'm just going to be centering that on my pattern paper. Now I like that, I like to have my stripes running on the diagonal. I don't know, it's just a personal preference. So to do that, I'm going to line up my ornament on this grid paper from Stampin' Up! That I kind of work on. And I'm just going to get things lined up, and I'm going to use my purple tape just so while I'm, adhering everything down, I can sort of keep in mind how this is going to lay out. So that is my first large snowflake die, cut out of the same Recollections white cardstock. And I'm using Stampin' Up's dimensionals, the large one, the normal sized one, and the mini ones. So I'm just going to pop them all around where they fit in. And because this is going to be under a dome, it doesn't have to be super dimensional. Like it doesn't have to have perfect, you don't have to worry about it drooping in areas, but I still want to keep the pop dots, keep everything all popped up as evenly as I can, because I will be putting some shaker elements in there, and you don't want anything to get squashed in there. Just looks better for your final product. Now, every year I make Christmas ornaments for my Christmas table, and I tend to do a dry run. And this is my dry run, and I'm deciding if this is going to be my ornament for this year. So we'll see. So now I'm just using my T ruler, and I'm just going to try and line that up. And of course you see I'm using my EK Success tweezers, and you notice that, darn it, I stuck it to the ruler. As usual, I'm screwing up on camera, but that's normal. So if everything went perfect, you'd know something's wrong. So there we are, and I'm thinking, crud, I've got to peel this up again. Yeah, I'm going to have to peel it up and get it straightened out. Ugh, and look at little mess, but you won't see it in the final one, so I don't worry about it. So now I get it lined up. I had to go off the camera to get that lined up, to get my head right over there. So now this is a snowflake die from the winter dies. And same thing, cut out of Recollections white cardstock, and I'm popping it up with the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. Like I said, trying to, evenly pop up the surface. I'm going to be covering the center with a little sentiment, so, the center doesn't have to be, doesn't matter if there's some sticky in the center, because like I said, it'll be covered with my sentiment in the long run. So anyways, like I said, this is a dry run for my ornament. I have 2 in mind, so I'm probably going to make both, and then I'll decide which one I want to, sort of mass produce. Remember, my Christmas dinner is only going to have like 5 people this year because of COVID and, rules, and I don't want my mother to get sick, so she'll be joining us, and that is it. And just because my father died this year, I don't want her alone, obviously. So she's coming into my home. And since I'm getting her groceries and I'm the one doing everything, she's included in our circle, obviously. So So I only really have to make like 5 ornaments, although I do give them to some friends' kids and, a couple of friends. So I'll make a few more than that. But normally I make like 24 so I can add them when I go out for, go to someone's house for a party or something. But that won't be happening this year because of the whole COVID situation. So now I'm going to be doing some freehand stamping. This is the word joyful from that Be Merry stamp set. That's from our last release. And I'm using Ink on 3's Juicy Ink. And that brown paper is also from the Moxie Winter Wishes paper line. And I just used my anti-static powder tool there. And I'm just going to, sweep off the residue with my Nuvo sweeper brush. And I'm just going to stamp onto this piece of paper. Now, I'll be cutting it out using my paper trimmer. So I'm just sort of, stamping in the middle, giving it some, buffer area around it so I'll be able to trim it out straight. So now I'm using my Ranger White Super Fine Detail Embossing Powder. And I do that over a coffee filter. And I'll be bringing in my Marvy heat tool here, and I'll be melting my embossing powder. Now you want to get it nice and hot, your heat tool, because you don't want to have your heat tool on any one part for too long, because you can burn your paper, you can sort of mess up your embossing. You just want to, get it till it's melted and shiny, and that's it. So there we go. So melted and shiny. So now I'm going to take it off, and I trimmed it out just using my paper trimmer. And I'm using a piece of the same white cardstock, the Recollections white cardstock, just to make it a little bit more stiff and sturdy, because I'm going to be popping that up across the center of my snowflake. There we go. And that'll be going in the center of my dome. So I'm going to kick it old school here. I'm using my EK Success little scissors, and I'm just going to make my own fishtails. Now, this is sort of like what we used to do in the day. So, I'm cutting in to the center, and I'm cutting from corner to corner to give myself a little fishtail there. And it's not perfect, but, it's pretty close to being right where I wanted it. So I'm not going to change anything. And there we go. So I'm just trimming off right to the center. So are you guys all decorated for Christmas? I'm decorated a little early. I usually decorate early because it takes me so long. And now I'm popping up my sentiment here, just with another Stampin' Up! Dimensional using my EK Success reverse tweezers just to get my fingers out of the way, because I'm kind of all thumbs. There we go. And I'm going to line that up in the center. So I'm all decorated, like I said. Hopefully you are too, feeling the joy of the season, because this whole COVID thing is depressing. So you got to get your joy where you can get it, right? So these little styrofoam balls are from Michaels. And I'm using my anti-static powder tool, hoping to get some of the, they've got a lot of static, and that's not great in a shaker. So I'm just trying to get the static off them. And I'm using 3mm moonshine. Yeah, I think they're called moonshines. Yeah, moonshine sequins from Cartwright's in 3mm, like I said. And I'm going to put all my shaker elements in the center. That doesn't look pretty, but it doesn't matter because I'm putting my half ornament dome over top of it. So there we go. So now I'm using my Ranger's Multi-Matte Medium. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had a bit of a coughing jag there. It's dry down in the basement. So I'm using my multi-medium matte from Ranger. I'm just making sure that it's flowing out well. And I'm going to be adding it all to the edge of that acrylic half ornament from Michaels. So the nice thing about multi-medium matte is that it is very strong glue, and it can glue kind of anything to anything. So I always find that when I'm doing any kind of, I'm gluing things that aren't just the paper, and stuff like that. If you're gluing a heavy embellishment, anything like that, it's perfect. And this dries matte, so it's quite handy. So now I'm lining it up. I kind of straddled the line with the scallops. So there's like you saw how I did that. So it's in between the lines there. So I just lined up my little hanger in between there. So now I'm making sure I've got enough of this multimedia mat, and I'm going to run a bead along the edge of the ornament now, and I'm going to add some jute. Now I believe I got this from Home Sense, which is kind of like Marshall's here in Canada. So I'm just adding, like I said, a bead of glue. I'm going to use my little wooden skewer and make sure it goes into the corner. And I just think it finishes the ornament nicely. It kind of hides where you've glued. So I'll run like twine around there or some kind of trim, or this time I'm using jute. It just looks nice, so that's what I'm doing. So there we go. So I'm just going to keep running that glue all around the edge. I'm showing you my jute twine there. Excuse my little bit of a cough. Ever since I started with the Christmas decorating, the trees, they're very dusty from Christmases past, and I swear I'm like a coughing, like allergic mess right now. So that's what I'm doing, fun and games. So there we are. So I'm trimming off the edge with that EK Success scissors. I like to sort of cut off all the little hanging hairs from the jute. I'm kind of picky about that, even though it's supposed to be kind of distressed looking, and but I hate having all those little hairs hanging off. So there we are. So you see how it's shaking nicely. So now I've got a length of the same jute that I'm going to run through the hole in the hanger. So this is going to hang my ornament. And, like I said, super easy. Just loop it through. I'll tie a knot. And these ornaments are like fun to make. You can make them out of anything. And like I said, a lot of Jaded Blossom's stamps and dies are perfect for this. So there we go. So I just trimmed off the topping. And isn't that cute? So now I've got my bow easy out again. Can't live without this thing. And I'm going to make a double bow to glue on the top of my ornament. So it'll sort of hide the hanger, and it'll look cute, right? That's what we always go for. So now I'm just going to quickly tie this. You need a bow easy if you're making bows all the time. I tell you this all the time. I'm not a great bow tire, but I look like one when I'm, using the bow easy. So there we go. I'm just sort of fluffing it all up. I'm trimming off my tails, and then I'm going to use my hot glue gun. Now I could use my multi-matte medium, that would glue it on there, but I wanted it to glue right away because I was moving on to something else. So I'm just going to put a little glue on the back of my bow there. Oh, sorry, wasn't hot enough yet. Now I got the glue. And there we go. So I'm putting that on the top of my ornament, and isn't that pretty? I think it looks cute. There we go. Now on the back of my ornament, I tend to have something on the back. That's just me. So I've got that same scalloped circle die, and I cut it out of the white cardstock again, and I'm using VersaFine Claire pine cone ink because there's brown in what I've done today. So, I think it looks better than black. So now I'm using my Misty, and you saw that I've taped my scallop circle onto my Misty, just so, it doesn't move around. And I lined up my sentiment. That's from Be Merry. And I'm just using a dry erase chalkboard eraser. That's like a Jennifer McGuire tip that I quite like. And look at that, perfect stamping. So now I'm going to remove that. And then I'll be placing that or sticking it to the back of my ornament. And like I said, super fast and easy. I'll just glue that onto the back. And then Bob's your uncle, we're done. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.